Obi, hi.
Thank you.
Shabbat shalom. How are you? How are you feeling?
And how are you?
Absolutely.
Really?
So there should be somebody at Safeway that can help you fill out the paperwork.
I got it straightened out. I talked to Brittany at the
Okay.
phone service.
Okay.
So you'll walk
She just
over
told me to
there
talk
and
to
join them after?
Right. Right.
They'll get the paperwork.
Yeah, so
and then
that's
they'll
nice,
help me
yeah.
from there.
Right, and
So
you'll probably have to go back to the Safeway
Yeah,
corporate,
just
and
let them know.
they'll actually probably sign stuff that'll help
Oh,
you get
really?
your
Okay.
that'll help you get the disability.
Oh, okay.
Probably.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
just I didn't want to be a liability
And
also
so
because that's
there's
what I was
all
going to
this.
end up being if I got
In
it.
fact, I'm leaving early so I can go and be with my grandson while he naps. So she can go forward. Nobody asked me what dad like them. To move today. She's like, all right.
She also told them Safeway would like it. It's true that it wasn't easy to tackle.
I wasn't.
And how are the
Nice, but I had them on both my face
like things are
so that was just to cover myself at the time.
So you say that they should be able to start doing
because it is real, I hear everybody's just chill. Yeah. And they're out and about, like the streets are packed with Israelis, Right. Yeah.
So he's the only kind of invited.
Hello, Haley. How are you?
Yeah, that's it.
Good.
And you're just going for fun like I did?
No, I'm meeting the 11 or 12.
Oh, it's the high school trip. Nice.
Hopefully there'll be some fun in there. It sounds like a lot of work though, a lot of being on and supervising. Yeah, I think COVID.
Oh, it's not. Yeah. The fun of trying to get everybody tested coming back is really bad because that's on you guys.
Well, I would think we have
I know, but that's easy because you're here and you have access to stuff. And
we have a tour provider.
I understand, but I'm telling you, it's a lot
But
more
maybe the
difficult.
tour person, you didn't have someone helping coordinate the testing. You will hopefully have.
I didn't. It's a bigger pain. It just is. Because you don't know the systems there, and they change all the time there, and places close down there. It's That's good. That's good. All right, we're gonna start. All right, Shabbat Shalom to the 10 or so gathered here and the one person watching online. So anyway, today is the Women of TVA-led service. Hazanin Yael will lead the majority of the davening. Lots of women from our congregation who are part of the Women of TVA group will be reading Torah and doing other various honors. And so we will begin on page 73 with our morning blessings. Please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai Elokeinu melech haolam asher natan la'asav bina le'avchin ben yom u'ben layla. Baruch atah Adonai Elokeinu melech haolam she'asani b'tzalmo. Baruch atah Adonai Elokeinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Elokeinu melech haolam she'asani bat kori. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivri. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam al pi sharumi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam atir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kesufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam roka aretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasa likol tzorkihim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei gaber. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam uzer Yisrael b'gvurah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam uzer Yisrael b'tifarah.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten layah Torah.
Amen. You may be seated. Page 134.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, bekodsho, hallelujah, b'tiyahuso, hallelujah, b'grotav, hallelujah, rokulo, hallelujah, b'tika shofar, hallelujah, b'neva b'chinor, hallelujah, b'tofu machol, hallelujah, b'minim be'ugav, hallelujah, b'tzelzelei shama, hallelujah, b'tzelzelei trua, kol haneshama Aliyah, hallelujah, kol haneshama Aliyah, hallelujah. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.
Page 143. 143.
Nishmat kol chai, tivarech Hashem Adonai Eloheinu meru'ah. Mi melach umi yishmelach umi yarach lachayel hagadol kifur v'nochayel hayom v'neshamayim ba'aretz nehalelcham shabachacham va'erecham barach Hashem kodshecha amor leTavid barchi nafshi et Adonai v'chol krovahai et shem kodsho ha'echel b'tatzimot uzecha Hagadol b'chvod shemecha, Hagibor lenetzach v'nora b'nohorotecha, Hamelech hayoshev al kisei ram v'nisah, Shochet ad maharom v'kadosh shemo, v'chatuv V'fi yesharim tithalal, U'v'divrei tzadikim tiparach, ובלשון חסידים תתרומם, ובקרב קדושים תתקדש, ובמקלות רביבות עמך בית ישראל. שכן חופת כל היצורים לפניך אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, להודות, להלל לשבח, לפאר, לרומם, לדר, לברך, ללב, לקלס. כל דברי שירות ותשבחות, דוד בן ישי, עבדך משיחך, ישתבח שמך, לעד מלכנו, האל המלך. ברכות והודאות מעתה ועד עולם, ברוך אתה אדוני, אל מלך גדול ותשבחות, אל ההודאות Yamadi Marachirte, Yamich Malchute, Bechayechonu, Yamechonu Chayed Echol Beit Yisrael, Agalav Yisman Karim, Yimru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorach, Leolam Omel Maya, Yitbarach Yishtabach Yiv'ar Min Aseh, V'tadar V'taleh V'talal Shnei L'Kudeshah Le'ela Mikol Berchata B'shirata Zush B'chata V'nechemata Damiram B'yoma V'imru Amen Barechu Et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Yotzer Or Borei Choshech Oseh Shalom Borei Et HaKol Ein terkecha ve'ein zulatecha Nefesh tiltecha u'midomela Ein terkecha ve'ein zulatecha Nefesh tiltecha u'midomela Ein terkecha Adonai Eloheinu b'olam hazeh Ve'ein zulatecha malchinu chayei olam haba V'estiltecha golin limot HaMashiach Ve'en dome lecha Moshin l'thiat hametim El Adon al kol ha'masim Baruch u'mvorach b'fi kol neshama Godlo v'tumo alei olam da'at u'tmuna sod v'imoto Hamidgaheh al chayot hakodesh v'nedar b'chavod al hamerkava zechutu mishol lifnei chiso chesed v'rachamim lifnei levodot tovim me'orot shebara Eloheinu yetzaram v'da'at v'bina u'chaskel koach U'ranatam bahem liot moshlim b'keret tevel B'neim zivum fikim noga Na'ezivam b'chol ha'olam Slehevim b'seitam v'sasim b'moam Osim b'yehem ha'retzon konam V'chavod nodim lishmot tzala V'rina lezecher malchuto Kara l'shamesh v'yizrach ora'a V'hikin surat halvana Shephat nodim lo Kol sefav ma'aron Tiferet u'gedula Srafim ve'ofanim v'chayot hakodesh Le'el asher shala mikol ha'masim Mizmor shel yom haShabbat Yikarach suleinu malkim v'goleinu borei kedoshim Yishtabach shimcha la'ad malkeinu V'chulam bokim et kiken V'kdushav tara v'shirav zimra Mevarchim u'shabachim u'mfarim Umaritzim u'makdishim u'mamlichim Et Shem ha'el ha'melech Hagadol ha'gibor v'hanolach kadosh V'chulam metachim aleihem Yeshu Zelazah, Lechi Shleotraham, Benachat Ruach, Vesafa V'Ravnima Kedosha, Ulam Techa Aronim Ve'omrim Ve'yira, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, V'lo Haaretz Kevodo, Lo Fani V'chayot HaKodesh, V'rahash Gadol Minasim L'matrafim L'matam Shafim Ve'yomim, Baruch Kevod Adonai B'komo, Ve'el Baruch Livot Yiteinu. Or Chadash al Zion Ta'ir, Or Chadash al Zion Ta'ir, V'nizkeh Umanu Mera Leoro, Mera Leoro, Baruch Atah Adonai Yotzer HaMeorot, Ahava Rava Hakanu, Adonai Eloheinu, והיו בתושבות בעיניך וכתבת על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו עשיתם את כל מצוותיי, ואיתם גרשי אלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. ויציב ונכון וקיים וישר ונאמן ויעקב וחביב ונחמד ונעים ונורא והדר ומתוקן ומקובל וטוב ויפה. הדבר הזה עלינו לעולם ועד. ודור ודור קיים ושמו קיים וחיסון נכון ומלכותו ואמונתו לעד קיימת. ודבר חיים וקיים חיים. האמת שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו אלוהי אבותינו מלכנו מלך אבותינו גואלנו גואל אבותינו יוצאנו צור ישועתנו כבודנו מצילנו מלך שמך אין אלוהים זו אהבתך עזרת אבותינו אתה ומעולם. תהילות לאלוהים ברוך הוא מבורך משה בני ישראל לכנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך חיים אדוני מי כמוך נקרא קודש
First, pages 175 to 192.
Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor V'Hanoha, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'Konem Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot, U'Mevi Goel Lifnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo V'Yahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magin, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magin Abraham U'Moked Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, V'Chayei Metim Atah Le'Hoshia, Mashiv Haruach U'Mori Hagashem, Mechalkel Chayim B'Chesed, Mechayei Metim Berachamim Rabim, Sohomech Nochlim Berofel Oholim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Nivamo Aval Yevurot, U'Mido Mehelach, Melech Meimid U'Mechayem, U'Matzliach Yeshua, V'Neman Atan HaChayot Metim, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayei HaMetim. Nekadesh et Shimcha ba'olam, Keshem שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד אביך, וקרא זה אל זה מימיו. קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאו, מלך כל הארץ ככבודו, אז בקול רעש גדול, אדיר וחזק משמיעים קול, מנסים ומצרפים, ומתם ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקום המלכנו תופיע, ותמלוך עלינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך. מתי תמלוך בציון, בקרוב בימינו לעולם, ועת תשכון ידי תתגדל ותתקדש בתוך ירושלים עירך לדור ודור ולנצח נצחים. לעינינו תראנה מלכותך ושבחה חלם מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. כי המלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You may be seated, or page 181.
ישמח משה במתנה כל כי עבד נאמן קראת לו, כביר תפארת בראשו נתת ביום לפניך על הר סיני. ושתי כיפות אבנים הוריד בידו, וכתוב בהם שמירת שבת, וכתוב בהם שמירת שבת. וכן כתוב בתורתך, וכן כתוב בתורתך, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד כי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ולא נתתו אדוני אלוהינו לגויי הגרצות, ולא תנחלתם מלכנו לעובדי כסילים, וגם במלוכתו לא ישכנו ערימים, וישראל עמך נתתו באהבה, לזרע יעקב אשר בהם בחרת. המקדש שביעי כולם ישבעו וינתגו מטובך, השביעי רצית בו וקידשתו, כן דד ימים אותו קראת, זכר למעשה בראשית. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, רצנו חטאנו, קדשנו במצוותיך, ותן חלקנו בתורתך, סבנו מטובך, ושמחנו בישועתך, לטהר ליבנו, לקרבך ביהנה. והמילאנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה וברצון שבת קודשך, וינוחו בך ישראל וקדשי שמך, ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. ישראל פילתם, והשבת עבודה לפיר ביתך, אישי ישראל פילתם, ובאתם לבוא ברצון, ותהי לרצון תמיד, עבודת ישראל עמך, ותחזינה עינינו בשובך לציון ברחמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, המחזיר שכינתו לציון, מודים אנחנו הטוב כי לא חברך והמרחם כי לא תמוך חסדך מעולם תמינו להם, ועל כולם יפרח מתרומן שמך מלכנו תמיד לעולם ועד, וכל החיים ידעוך סלה ויעלו את שמך בימיהם, האל ישועתנו ועזרתנו סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני הטוב שמך ולחנה להודות. אלוהינו אלוהי אבותינו, ברכנו בברכה משולשת, בתורה כתובה ידי משה עבדך, אמורה מפי אהרון ובניו, כהנים עם קדושך כחמור. יברכך אדוני וישמרך, יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך, יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום. שים שלום טובה וברכה, וחסד ורחמים, עלינו ועל כל ישראל. Yisrael bechol hetu bechol sha'ah b'yi shomecha Baruch atah Adonai המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום.
קדיש שלם.
יקרא ויקרא שמי רבה, ואומר דברה פרטי וימליך מלכותי, וחייכונו וימלכנו חי לכל בית ישראל, בגלו בזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה וגדולה, לעולם וימיה יתברך וישתבח יפאר קרמה מנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי לקודשה לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דמירה ביומה ויאמרו תקבל צלחתנו ואדון לכל ישראל קדם ובהני ושמיה ויאמרו יהי שלום הרבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו עושה שלום במרמה ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו
We are continuing with our Torah service. I just want to make sure there's nobody else destined to lead it. I don't see that that's the case. So back to Hazani Gael, we're on page 195, but we do have our ark openers. And trying to find that as well. Maybe we don't have ark openers. No, yes we do. So we invite Doreen Alper and Paula Schiff to come up and open the ark. Now, Karen never stops being proud, so Paula, thank you for your daughter who has done all this to coordinate the service today. And greatly appreciate it.
אין כמוך באלוהים אדוני ויש מעשיך מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים וממשלתך בכל דור ודור אדוני מלך אדוני מלך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום על הרחמים היטיבה ברצונך את ציון תבנה חומות ירושלים תבנה חומות ירושלים כי בכל לבד תאכלו מלך אלרם ונישא ויהי בנשוא אהרון ויאמר משה קומה אדוני ויחוסו אויביך וינוסו משנאיך מפניך כי מציון תצא תורה כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים ברוך שנתן תורה ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל עם קדושתו דיין הרחץ וריש וקדיש Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adoneinu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadol Adonai iti, uneromema shemo yachdav. Lecha
As the Torahs are walking around the room, please do not touch or kiss. We're not ready for that yet. Just kind of wave your tzitzit or prayer book at the Torah. All right, we may be seated.
I was just going to say that.
All right, so Karen Bloom will be, or we'll call her this today, Revitson Karen Bloom will be doing what I normally do during the Torah service, announcing pages and summarizing the parts to be read and calling on the individuals. And I want to welcome back my fellow Israel travelers, the Dan and Sarah and Larry and Deb, all of whom we were together in it's just a couple of weeks ago, so nice to have you back stateside. There'll be some other very special welcomes later on in the service as well.
Thank you, Rabbi. Welcome to WTVA Shabbat Torah service. This is very exciting. Our Torah reading today is going to start on page 599, I think.
Yes.
Okay. Leviticus chapter 4, verse 27, right at the bottom of that page. And our first Aliyah goes from verse 27 to 31. This first section, well, this whole section is about when humans chet, or sin, or miss the mark, what we have to do, what God has instructed us to do to make reparations for those sins. And so in this first Aliyah, we, if a regular person, not the leaders of the community, which we would have read earlier, and not in this part of the triennial, regular person sins unknowingly, their reparation is to provide a female goat for sacrifice. For this Aliyah, we are having Lynn Langfeld be our reader, and we call Dina Hinken.
Tama Dina Banatanya Vishimon HaKohen, Baruch Shanatan Torah Le'elo Yisrael B'Kedushato, Ve'atem Ha'yodim Adonai Elohechem, Hayim Kolem Hayom. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol hamim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Amen. Ve'i nefesh achad techeta v'ishtagah me'at ha'aretz va'asota achat mimitzvot Adonai asher lo ta'asena ve'ashem od hodai v'ha Chatato asher chata ve'hevi karbanot se'irat itzim temiman nekeva al chatato asher chata v'samak et yado al rosh hachatat v'shamchat et hachatat v'inkom ha'olah V'lachach hakohen midama ve'etzba'ot ve'natan al karnot mitzvah ha'olah ve'ekol dama yishpot al yasod hamizbeach ve'ekol chelva yasir ka'asher husar Caleb, me'atzevach hashla, me'al zevach hashlamim, ve'hitir hakohen hamizbecha, le'reach mikoach la'adonai, ve'kiper e'alav hakohen, ve'yislach lo.
Baruch hu et Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Yasher koach.
Thank you, Lynn. We, on the second Aliyah, this will be verses 32, nope, that's not right. Maybe? Verses 32 to 35? Okay, that is right. Sorry. So we're on page 600 now. And this is the exact same procedure. If a regular person has to make reparations for a sin, they will do the same thing, but with a sheep. And for this Aliyah, number 2, we have Kelsey Perdola reading, and Laura, are you here? Yeah, Laura Gabrielle for the Aliyah.
Talmud Menucha Bat Yosef Rachel Sheni. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Amen. Va'im keves yavi korbano lechatat nekeva tamimam yavi eina vesamach et yado al rosh chachatat veshachat Ota lechatad binkom asher yishchat el ha'olah et ha'olah Yalakach velakach hakohen midam hachatat be'etzbeot v'natam al kornot mizbach ha'olah ve'et kol dama yishpoch el yesod hamizbeach ve'et kol halva yasir ka'asher yusar Halev hakesef mizevach hashalamim Hiktir hakohen ota hamizbecha al ishe Adonai v'kiper alav hakohen al haktatot asher chatav v'nislach lo.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet b'chayei olam notah b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher koach.
Thank you, Kelsey. We're up to the third Aliyah, starting with verse 5, verses 1 through 10. In this Aliyah, we're going to read about other types of sins, guilt by omission, or touching impure things. And in this case, we need to bring a female sheep or goat for our sin offerings. But if one cannot afford a goat, female goat or female sheep, then 2 pigeons is okay too. So for this Aliyah, the third Aliyah, let's see here. Sorry, a lot going on. I believe that our reader is Oti Gold. And for the Aliyah, oh, okay. That will be Treya. Yes? Treya Wancha. Come on up.
Ta'amod tova bat Mikael v'tasha shlishi.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamavarach.
Baruch Adonai hamavarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamavarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Benefesh kitecheta b'sham'a kol Allah vehu et ora'o yada in lo yagid benasarono o nefesh asher tiga b'chol tevlat ameh o beniflat chaya demeya beniflat בהמה דמיה, או beniflat שרץ טמא, ולעם ממנו, והוא טמא בהשם.
וכי ייקח את טומאת אדם לכל טומאתו אשר יטמע בה ונעלם ממנו והוא ידע בהשם. ונפש כי תשבע לבטל שפתיים להרע כל עתיד לכל אשר יבטל האדם בישוע ונעלם ממנו והוא ידע בהשם לאחת מאלה. והיה ישם בדרך לאחת מאלה והתוודה אשר חטא עליה. והביא את אשמו אדוני על חטאתו אשר חטא נקבה מן הצאן כרצפה וזעירת עזים לחטאת וכיפר עליו הכהן מחטאתו. ואם לא תגיע ידו תיסר והביא את אשמו אשר חטא שתי תורים או שני בני יונה לאדוני אחד לחטאת ואחד לעולה והביא אותם אל הכהן והקריב את אשר לחטאת ראשונה ומרק את ראשו ממול אורכו ולא יבדיל וישא מדם החטאת על קיר המזבח והנשאר בדם יימצא לסוד המזבח חטאת הוא ואת השני יעשה עולה כמשפט וכיפר עליו הכהן וחטאתו אשר חטא ונסלח לו.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasharoah.
So I was just too excited not to interrupt. So I'm interrupting the flow of the Torah service just because two of our longest term members who have not been here in so long are here today. Like two just wonderful people. So Eleanor DeKoven and Helen Fixler, welcome back.
Welcome.
Yasher Koach, just
So happy to see you.
warms all of our hearts.
Thank you, Oti. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Helen and Misha. And Eleanor. Sorry, that was just my wishful thinking. To have all three of you would be a miracle. We're up to Aliyah 4, fourth Aliyah. This will be verses 11 through 13 in chapter 5. Now we're on page 603, I think. Okay, good. And in this case, if one cannot afford the female sheep or the female goat or the two pigeons, now it's okay if one will bring an ephah of choice flour instead as the sin offering. So it looks like we have Susan Simon reading, and for the Aliyah, Deb Hoffman-Wade. She's a my mom. Oh, she's on a different. Looks like I'm wrong. That happens a lot. I'm very sorry. The fourth Aliyah. Oh, this is Paula Reinman, commemorating a yard site today. One of our new members. Welcome. Sorry, my mistake.
Ha'amad, Peril Shalomit, Fat, Rein Kasara, Reni.
Baruch Adonai Hamorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamorah Le'olam
Baruch Adonai Hamorah Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Asher Bahar Banu Mikol Hamim, Benatan Lanu et Torato, Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Amen. Limlo tasiv yado lishtei torim. Oh, lishtei b'nei Behevi et korbano asher chata asiri tefa solet chatat v'yasim aleh shemen v'leitein aleh levona ki chatati Beheviya el hakohen v'kamat hakohen mimena velokum so et eskarta v'hiktir mizbecha Aliyah Adonai chatani v'chiper alav hakohen al chatato asher chata me'achad me'elev v'nislach lo v'hayata lakohen k'mincha.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher natan lanu Torah temet, V'chaim olam natav b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Thank you, Susan. For the fifth Aliyah, we'll be reading verses 14 through 16. And in this one, the sin is an unintentional misuse of sanctuary. And in this case, if a person does that and realizes that they have made that mistake or missed the mark, they're going to bring a ram for their offering. And so we are on 603 still at the bottom. And this is the fifth Aliyah. So it looks like Gabriella Gordon will be reading. Thank you, Bella. And for the Aliyah, we call Kathy Saunders and Jessica Sterling.
Ta'amdu Esther Bat Ta'om B'Miriam V'Yachad Torah V'Pesha Hamishi.
Baruch Adonai HaBarak.
Baruch Adonai Barak Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Amarak Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, Asher bahar banu mikol hamim, V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, Nefesh ki timol mal, V'chatam tishkaga mikodshei Adonai, V'hevi et ashamol Adonai, Ayil kamim min hatzom, Ve'elkecha כסף שקלים בשקל הקודש להשם, ואת אשר חטא מן הקודש ישלם, ואת חמישיתו יוסף עליו, ונתן אותו לכהן, והכהן יכפר עליו, ואל השם ונסלח לו.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam notan b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Thank you, Bella. Sixth Aliyah, verses 17 through 19. In this case, we are committing unknowing or uncertain sins that we then find out about later. And in this case, we will also bring a ram for our offering. So our sixth Aliyah is read by Valerie Milner. Is that right? Okay. And we call for this Aliyah, I don't know.
It is Deb.
Oh, Deb Hoffman-Wade. So now I don't know who I'm calling for the next Aliyah, but that's okay.
Ta'ama, Deborah, Barabar, Basara, Shemi'i.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMavarach. Baruch Adonai HaMavarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bakar Banu Mikol Ha'amin V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ve'im nefesh ki tefeta ve'asta achat mikol mitzvot Adonai asher lo te'asena v'lo yada v'ashem v'nasa avono ve'hevi ayu tamim min hatzon ve'erkacha la'asham el hakohen ve'chiper alav hakohen al shikagato asher shagag v'hu lo yada v'nislach lo asham hu asham Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chaye olam nata b'choheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
And I know from Valerie, it's been a minute since you read from the Torah, so wonderfully done. Mazel tov.
Is there anything different now?
So now it's low.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Our seventh Aliyah, looks like Susan Simon will be reading. Okay. In this Aliyah, we're going to just read verses 20 through 26. And in this case, the sins are a sin of business. I don't know what that means. A sin of robbery, a sin of lying, or a sin of fraud. And in this case, for our sin offering, we bring another ram for any of those sin offerings. And you just told me who the Aliyah was. All right, Flo Raskin for the seventh Aliyah.
Ta'amot, Sarah, Freda, Rikabat, Hatzkel, V'chaika, Shemi'i.
Hu et Adonai HaMavarach. Baruch Adonai HaMavarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'daber Adonai el Moshe laemor. Nefesh ki techeta u'ma'alama Adonai v'chi cheshri amito v'chi kadon v'vitzum et yahad v'vitzum et okay v'vitzum et yahado v'gazel ashak et amito v'matzav yadav v'chi cheshva v'nishba shaker Alachat mikol asher yaseh adam lechatova hena v'haya ki echetav Hashem v'hishiv et hagazela asher gazal Oh, את העושק אשר עשק, oh, את הפיקדון אשר הופקד איתו, oh, את הביתה אשר מצא, oh, מכל אשר שבה לשקר, ושילם אותו ראשו, וחמישיתה יוסף עליו, לאשר הוא לו, יתננו ביום אשמתו, ואת השמו יביא לאדוני, אל תמים מן הצאן, וערכך לאשם על הכהן, וכיפר עליו הכהן, לפני אדוני ונסלח לו, על אחד מכל אשר יעשה להשמעה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת חיי עולם נפח בתוכנו ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Yasher Koach.
Okay, we're going to rise now because we're going to be exchanging the Torahs and there'll be a Kiddush and then the first cause of Aliyah. What's that Torah put on the table? Now,
Yikara, Yikara, Shemei Rabba. Amen. Almighty Rock, you take down with Malchute. Amen. Uflaye Devil, Beit Yisrael. Vakala, Ubisman Kari. Mimaru. Amen. And Shemei Rabba.
Remain standing for the lifting and dressing of the Torah. I believe it is Elizabeth Sims and
Karen Kelly.
Talmud, Hamagbicha, Talmud, Hagolelet. Special maftirs because of Shabbat Zachor. So I don't have the pages or the verses or anything.
It's page 12. That's very good.
Turn to page 1281. You may be seated. Thanks. You talk about it.
So it is trying to make me look good, you know. So you'll need me back next week. So this special maftir for Deuteronomy is always the Shabbat before Purim. It's remember Amalek and how immoral, really war crimes that the Amalekites committed against the Israelites, attacking the women and children in the back. The reason it's read on the Shabbat before Purim, which is a story obviously that celebrates our triumph over anti-Semitism, and particularly a dictator like Haman. He's said to be descended from the Amalekites. And if we didn't understand what Amalek is capable of, or was capable back then, unfortunately, we have a living example of it today in Ukraine. And I mean, the Torah, as outdated as it can sometimes seem, you just have to wait, you know, just wait, everything comes up again. Pandemics, isolation, and sadly, terror.
Thank you. I will add that this Shabbat Zachor is also being commemorated as a Hadassah Shabbat, so I will be talking about that a little bit before the Misha Berach. But we're remembering a lot of different things, and one of the things that Hadassah is especially remembering is not only is it the 110th anniversary of the organization, Hadassah, the Women's Zionist Organization of America, it's also the 100th anniversary of the first bat mitzvah that happened in the United States. So that's something to celebrate today as we are the women of TBA. All right, so it looks like Audrey Kaufman will be reading this Aliyah, and for the Aliyah we call Chazanit Yael Krieger.
Ta'amod Yael Bat Shmuel HaKalim V'Chaya HaMatir.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamorah Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamorah Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Zachor et Asher asa lecha Amalek b'derech v'tzeitzechem miMitzrayim Asher karecha b'derech v'zanei becha kol hanefesh alim acharecha v'ata v'yageach v'lo yarei Elohim v'haya v'haniach Adonai Elohecha v'cha mikol yevecha misaviv Ba'aretz asher Adonai Elohecha notenu ha'anachava v'mishta timcha et zecher Amalek mitachat hashamayim lo tishkach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
First, a Misha Berach for all who read, Jack will go and recite.
Misha Berach Avotinu Abraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel Leah V'yivarech et kol ha'kruim asher alu hayom lichvod ha'makom lichvod ha'Torah v'lichvod ha'Shabbat ha'kodesh Baruch Hu yivarech otam ve'et mishpechotam v'yishlach bracha v'hatzlacha v'chol ma'aseh yadehem in kol Yisrael achrechem v'nomar amen.
Going to read a list of names of those who are ill in our community, thinking especially today of Scott Lawrence, Galia Bat Razel, Barbara Rose, Lou Burl, Ilya Op, Trina Gola Bat Hadav Yehuda Tzvi, Lev Edith Bat Shena, Shabtai Dopin, Shimon Moshe, Ray Ranshaw, Albert Alter, Rosie Berman, Michael Ben Eliza, Shulamit Bat Leah, Miriam Bat Yehudit, Adele Mendelson, Marina Gottschalk, Carmel Oria Bat Ariel Sarah, Rudy Bat Miriam Val Haron, David Gubman, Elizabeth Rav Raphael Ben Esther, Moshe Ben Ruvain, Mordechai Moshe Ben Dober, Naomi Sofer, Asa Arnon Ben Sarah, Esther Rivka bat Rachel, Moshe ben Pedo, Shana Sunjong Kim, Aaron McCann, Rivka bat Tzvi. If you have any other names of those who are ill, please just go ahead and say them out loud at this time. We can continue to be with them in their time of need. We call upon our special Mishaberach singers, Jeannie Korn and Jill Rosenthal and Audrey Kaufman, to sing Mishaberach. And
before they start singing, I would like to also ask, as we ask the source of blessing to grant refuah shlema to all those who suffer, we ask God's blessing on the healers of the Hadassah Medical Organization. We ask that they be given the strength and skill to fulfill Hadassah's sacred mission of Aruchat Bat Ami, the healing of the daughter of my people. Wherever in the world there are people in need, we give thanks for the opportunity to continue in this holy work.
Abraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Mi sheberach imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, veRachel.
May the one who blessed our mothers,
may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May the pain and loneliness we're feeling be diminished by the power of your love.
bless us with a vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain.
May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us strength, show us the way. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
Shabbat, beautifully done, so nicely here. We rise for a second. Hot Blue, we call upon Marty Stowe and Francis.
Ha'amud, ha'mat bikra, ta'amud, ha'galalet.
Yeah, I know. Bezo Torah Asher Sam Moshe Lifnei Bnei Yisrael Adonai Tzivai Moshe. Torah, 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 Torah. Tzivai Moshe. Torah, 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 Torah. Tzivai Moshe. Torah, 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 Tiva Lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Tiva Lanu Moshe.
Thank you.
Utsu etzavetu far, dabru davar velo yakum. Utsu etzavetu far, dabru davar velo yakum ki Immanuel. Utsu etzavetu far, dabru davar velo yakum ki Immanuel. That's a Purim song. No matter what our enemies attempt to do to us, God will annul their plans. All right, Haf Torah, page 1281, 1281. 5-star Haf Torah from 1 Samuel. It's violent, but it's really interesting, intriguing, impactful. It's about King Saul getting stripped of his kingship for ignoring God's command to wipe out the remaining Amalekites after their battle in the war. And that's the connection to Purim and the Torah portion we just read. And it's a very unenviable task for Samuel, who has to strip him of the kingship. Garment is torn, he's in mourning, and it's just really quite a poignant, if disturbing story.
How many Torah?
5, yeah, 5. It's like one of the most interesting stories. I mean, you can write papers on it. It's really a lot of discussion by commentators. Cool stuff.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'neviim tovim v'ratzav b'divreihem hanemarim b'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'torah v'moshe avdo v'Yisrael amo b'neviei ha'emet v'tzedek. Vayomer Shmuel Shaul lo ki shalach Adonai limshachach lemelech al amo Yisrael le'atah shema lekol divrei Adonai. Ko amar Adonai tzvaot hakadeti et asa Amalek liYisrael asher sam lo b'derech la'aloto miMitzrayim. Ata lech v'hikita et Amalek v'chacharamtem et kol asher lo v'lo tachmol ahalav v'hemata v'yish ad isha ve'oleh ve'ad yoneh mishohor ve'ad seher yidama ve'ad hamor v'yishma Shaul et ha'am Hayibtedehem batlaim, matayim elef rahaglim, yaseret alafim et ish Yehuda. Vayavo Shaul ad ir Amalek, vayarev bana anachal. Vayomer Shaul el hakeni lechu, suru redu mitoch Amaleki. Enosifcha imoho ve'ata asita chesed im kol bnei Yisrael v'alotam miMitzrayim vayaserteni mitoch Amalek vayach Shaul et Amalek v'chalilah koach ha'ashur asher al pnei Mitzrayim v'yichosh et Agag melech Amalek chai v'kol ha'am hecherim lefi charev vayachmo Shaul ha'am al Agag ve'al meitav hatzon v'abakar hamishni ve'al hakarim ve'al kol hatov ve'lo avdu ha'charimam ve'kol hamlacha Nemivzanam benamezot ha'herimu Vayahid v'ahar Adonai el Shmuel limor Nilchamti Ki imlachti et Shaul melech Ki shav me'acharai ve'aktiv barai lo hekim Vayichar li Shmuel Vayizach el Adonai kol halayla Vayashkem Shmuel likrat Shaul b'haboker vayugal li Shmuel lemor V'Shaul ha'karmela v'hinei matziv lo yad v'yisov v'yavor v'yered ha'gilgal v'yavo Shmuel el Shaul v'yomer lo Shaul Baruch atah Adonai Hakimoti et devar Adonai Vayomer Shmuel kol hatzon hazeh be'oznai v'kol habakar asher anochi shomea ויאמר שאול ועמלק כי הביאו אשר אמר לעם על מיטב הצאן והבקר למען תברך אדוני אלוקיך ואת היותר החרמנו. ויאמר שמואל שאול הרב אגידה לך את אשר דיבר אדוני אלי הלילה. ויאמר לו דבר. ויאמר שמואל הלא אם כתוב אתה בעיניך ראש שבטי ישראל אתה וימשכך אדוני למלך ישראל וישלחך אדוני בדרך ויאמר לך הרמת את החטאים את עמלק בנלחת מטבו עד כלותם אותם. ולמה לא שמעת בקול אדוני ותעת אל השלל ותעש הרע בעיני אדוני. ויאמר שאול שמואל אשר שמעתי בקול אדוני בעיניך בדרך אשר שלחני אדוני ואביא את הגג מלך עמלק ואת עמלק החרמתי. ויקח העם מהשלל צאן ובקר ראשית החרם לזבוח אדוני אלוהיך בגילגל. ויאמר שמואל החפץ באדוני בעולות זבחים לשמוע בקול אדוני הנה שמוע מזבח טוב להקשיב מחללים כי חטאת קסם מרי ואבן וטרפים הבצר יד. מאסת את דבר אדוני ומאסך ממלך. ויאמר שאול אל שמואל חטאתי כי עברתי את פי אדוני ואת דבריך כי הראיתי את העם ואשמע בקולם ואתה שא-נא את חטאתי ושובו בי ואשתחווה לאדוני. ויאמר שמואל אל שאול לא אשוב עמך כי המסת את דבר אדוני וימאסך אדוני וימאסך אדוני להיות מלך על ישראל. ויסוב שמואל ללכת ויחזק בכנף מעילו ויקרא. ויאמר אליו שמואל קרא אדוני את ממלכות ישראל מעליך היום ונתת לרעך הטוב ממך וגם נצח ישראל לא ישקר ולא ינחם כי לא אדם הוא להנחם. ויאמר חטאתי אתה כבדני נא נגד זקני אמי ונגד ישראל ושובו בי והשתחוויתי לאדוני אלוהיך. וישב שמואל אחרי שאול והשתחוו שאול לאדוני. ויאמר שמואל הגישו אלי את הגג להלך עמלק וילך אליו הגג מעדנות. ויאמר הגג אכן סמר המוות. ויאמר שמואל כאשר שכלה נשים חרבך כן תשקל מנשים מפניך. וישסק שמואל את הגג לפני Adonai Gilgal. Vayelech Shmuel Harahamata V'Shaul Alal Beito Giv'at Shaul. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol haolamim, tzadik b'kol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer v'yoseh, ha'medaber v'shayem, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek. Ne'eman ataku Adonai Eloheinu, v'ne'emanim dvarecha, v'davarecha midvarecha, for lo yashuv reikam. Ki amelech ne'eman v'rachaman ata, baruch ata Adonai, ha'el ha'ne'eman b'kol devarav. Rachem Zion ki hirei chayenu, v'lalu v'nefesh toshia b'mhera v'yameinu, baruch ata Adonai, v'sameach Zion v'banecha. Samcheinu Adonai Eloheinu b'Eliyahu hanavi avdecha, v'malchut beit avi b'shitacha, v'mhera Yaakov v'yagel libeinu. Al kisod lo yeshev zar v'lo yitchalu od acherim et kvodo. כי בשם קודשך נשפט לו, שלא יכפה נרו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן דודי. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה, שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודיעים לך, ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי, תמיד לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, לקדש השבת.
We continue with some of the additional prayers, starting with the prayer for our country back in the Siddur. Judy Glick will come up and read that. It's on page 223.
Our God and God of our ancestors, we ask you to bless our country, its government, its leaders, its citizens, and its land. We offer a prayer of gratitude for the precious gift of living in a land blessed with sublime physical beauty, individual freedom, economic abundance, and a rich, magnificent history. We offer a prayer of thanksgiving for those who came before us, those whose sacrifices created a strong and vibrant nation. We acknowledge that there are those in our country who are suffering as well. We offer a prayer of hope for those whose cups are empty, for those whose freedoms have been curtailed, and for those who have not been able to share fully in our country's blessings. We offer a prayer of support to the leaders of our government, understanding that leading a nation with such diversity and freedom is a difficult and daunting task. We offer a prayer of action to the citizens of our nation, that we may understand our obligations to be involved in making our country a better place for all who live here. Our God and God of our ancestors, we ask you to bless our country, its government, its leaders, its citizens, and our land. And let us say,
Amen. Yashikoah.
I have a few more things to say. One is, coming from me, let's bless Ukraine. Now, this is coming from Hadassah, I'm going to read now. May the one who blesses this holy community also bless the work of Hadassah, whose members and friends gather in worship on this Shabbat Zachor. May our tireless volunteers, our generous donors, and our loyal supporters be blessed for their dedication to Zion, to healing, and to Saddam. And I just want to mention that this year is the 50th anniversary of female rabbis, or of female women ordained as rabbis. Thank you.
Sally Precinct. Sally, first ordained female rabbi. We call upon Laura Belikoff to read the prayer for the state of Israel.
Avinu Shebashamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'go aleinu. Rach et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Tzmichat Ge'ulatenu. Again aleha, uvrat hasdecha, ufros aleha, sukat shlomecha. Ushlach orcha, v'amitcha l'rasheha, sareha v'yoatzeha. ותכנס בהצעה טובה מלפניך. חזק את ידי לגיני ארץ קדשנו, והנחילנו אלוהינו ישועה, ועטרת ניצחון תעטרם, ונתת שלום בארץ, ושמחת עולם ליושביה, ונאמר
Amen. And prayer for peace, call upon Judith Klinger.
Peace feels pretty elusive right now, huh? Ukraine, obviously, but within our own community, during the pandemic, violence in our own Oakland increased. And last night I did something just amazing. I participated in a ceasefire walk. The ceasefire program is a City of Oakland program. It's multi-pronged, but one prong is a group of people walking in the really violent neighborhoods in our city that I don't think any of us have the misfortune to live in. Anyway, it was amazing. It was like being on a group. It was like being on a kindergarten outing because the leaders of the group were very, very careful of us. And so it felt very safe, and yet it was so impactful. And cars were honking as we went by, and the guys working in the corner stores were like, "Yes, please, no more guns." And so, in the face of feeling completely overwhelmed, there's one thing that we can do, especially, if you want to join me on the peace walks, I would love it, the ceasefire walks. As summer comes in and Shabbat comes in later, it's something that we could do and be Shabbat respectful. So turning from our neighborhood out into the greater world, let's absolutely hold Ukraine in our hearts during this prayer, especially because so many of us have imahot who came from Ukraine at some point in the past, either recent or far distant past. And I would love it if we would read this together on page 225. May it be your will before you, Adonai, our God and God of our ancestors, to abolish wars and the spilling of blood from this world, and continue great peace and miracles in the world, so that nation will not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they study war anymore, so that they will come to recognize and know, all who dwell on earth, the singular truth, that we have not come into this world for dispute and conflict, nor for hatred, jealousy, provocation, or bloodshed. We have come to this world only to know you, to bless you eternally. Therefore, you will have compassion upon us and fulfill for us that which is written in Scripture. I will bring peace to the land, and you will lie down, and there will be no terror. And I will remove evil beasts from the land, and destruction will not cross into your land. Let justice flow like water, righteousness like a mighty stream. Let the earth be filled with the knowledge of Adonai like waters fill the sea. And let us say, Amen.
Ashrei, page 231, we call upon our 6th and 7th graders.
Selah.
All right, we rise to return of the Sefer Torah to the ark. Ark openers, Torah carriers. Not yet.
Shem Adonai Kiriskav Shema Levado Odo Valeres Veshamayim Dayarem Keharem Deyavo Tila Levo Hasidida Libe Yisrael Akerovo
Adonai, you may be seated, and we call upon President of Women of TBA, Abby Klein, who I want to just thank personally for all that she's done to keep the group together, to have to be president during a pandemic, and still have the local activity. It's really been amazing, so thank you, Abby.
Hi everybody, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for the introduction. I feel like I do have to introduce myself because I became president during COVID. I was looking forward to, as part of being president, getting to know the community better, and my entire tenure so far has been during COVID, so it's wonderful to be here today, to see so many familiar faces and to see so many new faces. It has been my honor to serve the last 2 years, the first year with my co-president Bella Gordon, and this year with Vice President Jacqueline Palchik. The past 2 years have really been an experiment, an experience with building a new type of community. WTBA, Women of Temple Beth Abraham, that's our acronym, literally doubled our programming during COVID, just because we felt there was such a need for community, to support each other, to distract each other, and just to enjoy each other's company, even if it was virtual. It was, for me, a much needed support, and I hope that many of you found that as well. I'm proud of my fellow board members and the greater WTBA and TBA community for coming together during such a difficult time. I think we were deer in the headlights, especially when it all started, and I think it's brought us all closer together. For programming this year, one of our themes that I want people to be aware of for our social action and Tikkun Olam has been environmental sustainability and awareness. We have woven this into multiple events and hope to continue to do so going forward. Case in point is today's Kiddush Lunch, which is being prepared by Rebecca Callahan Klein, who is a former WTBA board member. It's a plant-based lunch. It would be vegetarian to help reduce carbon emissions. And we have tried to present it with as little plastic waste as we possibly could. Couldn't do 100%, but we tried. Most of the food being served today is organically sourced and pesticide-free, which benefits our health, but not only our health, but the health of the farm workers, the health of the planet, and even the chocolate-dipped strawberries, which is making my mouth water just talking about it, are dipped in fair trade chocolate, and fair trade being a way to ensure sustainable wages for farm workers. So on that note, I really want to thank Rebecca. She has been in the kitchen all week with multiple volunteers, but she has been in the kitchen all week creating this amazing meal. And I want to thank Jessica Sterling for coordinating the event. And I would like to thank all the past presidents of WTBA for holding the continuity of this female community that we treasure so much. Namely Ann Levine, Dina Hankin, Edie Mills, Henny Hecht, Jeannie Korn, Jessica Sterling, Judith Klinger, Bella Gordon, Kathy Saunders, Lori Rosenthal, Mary Odenheimer, Misha Nudler, and Molly Rothman. I hope I didn't miss anybody, but thank you all, and also to thank the current and previous boards who have worked so hard. And I invite you to participate in other upcoming WTBA events, and if you feel inspired to participate in helping to plan events for this wonderful community. I know today has been a little heavy, the Parsha is heavy, the Torah, remembering Amalek, and the war in Ukraine, there's a lot, but it's also a day to celebrate and to be happy and to enjoy each other's company and to celebrate being back. And so enjoy the rest of the service and enjoy lunch. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. And we now call upon Rebecca Callahan Klein. Not only is she often in the kitchen, but today she is giving the drash.
Right. Well, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is absolutely beautiful to see all of you. The last time I was in this place was 2 years ago on the WTBA Shabbat. It was before the pandemic, before the latest wildfires, before the murder of George Floyd, before the war in Ukraine. And I'm grateful for everybody in this temple who's kept this community alive and who's carried us to this moment in time. I'm grateful to God for giving us the commandments and the wisdom we need to meet the challenges the moment offers. I apologize. I have a very loud voice, so I will speak up, but does that help? Yes. Okay, so we're in this moment in time. And I'm very grateful to God because we have so many things that help us meet this moment and the next and the next. We've been given the gift of Shabbat. As Joshua Abraham Heschel said, Shabbat is a cathedral in time to rest and reflect and renew. Not only have we been given Shabbat, which happens every 7 days, but we've been given a Shemitah year, and this is a Shemitah year. Every year, every 7 years, we get another year of rest, reflection, release, and we're given the opportunity in that 7th year, in the Shemitah year, to look deeply and to reset ourselves for the coming 7. And as Jews, we've practiced almost 1,000 Shemitah years. And so as we think about what we might be able to do, we can rest very deeply knowing that we have all of that strength to rely on. And lastly, we've been given the gift of communal rituals that really help us understand more about who we are, what we're here to do, and how we can do it together, and how we make the most of this time that we've all been given. And for all of those gifts, for all of those offerings from God, I say thank you. And so I'd like to say a Shehekianu for all of us getting to this place in time. And I'd actually like to invite all of you to join me in this most wonderful of Jewish prayers. I love this prayer. I say it as often as I can, as many times as I can when something new happens. And this is the first time that all of us have been together in this moment. And so what I'd like for all of you to do is to join me in saying the Shehekianu, and I want to hear all of your spirit and all of your soul and all of your strength. And what I'd like to do is, instead of sending up a cloud of smoke to God and having it be pleasing to Hashem, I'd love to send our voices up so God can hear us. Okay? And if at the end of this prayer you want to do the jazz hands when we say Hazah, I invite you to do that too. All right? You ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'hiyamanu v'higianu lahazman ha'azeh. Woo! Okay, everybody get up for a minute. Stand up. Shake yourselves out. Okay. Thank you. You can sit down. So, I think that was a Shehekianu that would be pleasing to God. So as I started to prepare for this drush, I start by reading the text. And this text comes from Vayikra, which is the first parsha in the book of Leviticus. And Leviticus really helps us understand the kind of rules for living and the ways that we need to move in the world. And this parsha starts by God talking to Moses from the tent of meeting. And I don't know if any of you feel the same way, but I love the idea of having a tent of meeting where we actually get an opportunity to meet God. And in this sanctuary, which I haven't been in for so very long, I feel like God is always in this space. So this is our tent of meeting. God starts off and starts talking about the offerings that people may bring to the temple. Each offering has a very specific purpose, and each is handled in a very specific way. And as I was thinking about this, I felt like, and I apologize, God, if this is a little irreverent, but I kept thinking when I was reading this portion that God was like a host of a very big, ongoing dinner party. And there were always guests coming in, and they needed things, and they were bringing things, and there was just all this activity. And he needed, and she needed, to tell the guests what was going to happen in the evening and what they needed to bring. So some people would come to the temple with offerings to please God. The burnt offering that would be consumed completely and would bring a pleasing odor to God. The meal offering, which is a simple and humble offering that anyone could bring, but was one that would be pleasing to God and shared with the priest. And then there was the offering of well-being, which is an offering that's shared with God, with the priests, and with the community. As one of the commentators said, the meal offering and the offering of well-being brings peace between the individual and neighbors who are invited to join in on the feast. So I think about all of us coming together, Judith walking through the streets, everyone starting to get to know each other. It's in that coming together that we begin to know each other and we begin to find and plant the seeds of peace. Now, other people who are coming in to the temple were bringing offerings to repair harm that they had done in the world. Some would bring in an offer of purification, and that was an offering that was made when someone unintentionally broke a commandment and did harm in the world. And I don't know about you, but I have done that at least 1,000,000 times in my life, and every time it catches me in my heart when I realize I've harmed someone else, and I had no intention of doing that. The second is an offering of reparation, which is to return what's been stolen from others and to offer an extra portion in addition to what was taken in order to repair the damage and restore the balance and harmony. And so those are the things that people were bringing. And as I was thinking about this, Josh, I kept thinking, well, what did the temple feel like? I feel like our temple is so serene and beautiful and calm. And as I started to think about this, I was thinking, that's not what was going on in the temple of old. It was a crazy, busy, noisy, smoky, loud, lively, shocking place that also was a place for transformation. So just like I think about the stairs that come up to our sanctuary here, in the temple there were long stairs. And so there were some people who would come and bring their offering, and they might be worried as they were walking up the stairs that what they brought would mean that they would have less, and that they might suffer because of this offering. And yet, as they walked down the stairs, I'm sure most felt fuller than when they came, because of the gratitude and the effects that happen when you think about others and you give beyond yourself. There were others who walked up the stairs with a sense of shame. If you've ever hurt anyone and you didn't mean to, you feel very small. And so I was thinking about that person walking up the steps too. And how after being able to make an offering, it might be possible for them to walk down the stairs a little taller, having been relieved of the burden that they might feel from having hurt someone. And lastly, I was thinking about those who are ensnared in guilt because they've stolen something. They would also walk up those stairs carrying that, whatever it was that they took, in a very public way, and coming in and not only returning it, but putting more on the table. And for those folks, I was thinking that coming back down still might be hard. It might not be pleasant to acknowledge your theft in front of others, but it might be possible to see a return back to the community. And so they might also leave feeling a little freer. And so that's kind of what I was imagining as I was thinking about this strash. So when I think about, well, what does this mean for us today? And this is a tough portion, I have to say, but there's a lot in it. I took away 3 things. One is that the temple is a place of meeting, where the act of offering gives us a chance to connect with each other, to connect with God, and to connect with this beautiful place we call the earth. Secondly, every person. And when you read the text, it talks about nephesh when it describes, to describe the word person. And what nephesh means is soul. So every person, every soul is called upon to make an offering, no matter how humble it might be. You could bring a grain of rice. And commentators say that if all you had was a grain of rice, by making that offering, it's as though you were offering your very soul to God. And that is something that's very, very pleasing. Because in our life as human beings, I think our job is really to be the essential soul that we already are. The soul that came in with us that we knew when we were born, and we sometimes lose as we go through this world. And so we've got to figure out, how do we reveal ourselves, reveal our true nature, the things that we're really here to do with everything, every step we take. And Reverend Desmond Tutu, I think he gives a really good perspective, because a lot of people think, well, how can I do something when I'm just making a bunch of small choices every day? You know, my life is not so big. I'm not the president. I don't control lots of things. I'm not a CEO of a company. But Desmond Tutu says this. He says, do your bit of good where you are. Every one of those little bits of good put together will overwhelm the world. So let's take all of our little bits of good and gather them up. And if we do this, we'll have everything we need to face the challenges that we have. We have the capacity to address climate change. We have the ability to end systemic racism. We have the capacity to make a more just and equitable world. And it just takes all of us doing our little bit to make that happen. So when I wrote 4 drafts of this drash, 4 very different drashes, talking about 4 very different things. It was like, as my husband said, it was like being in a field of sheep, and they weren't going in the same direction. I wanted to, come out here and say, here's all the things we need to do so that the world is big enough for all of us. Here's the ways that I suggest that we, you, everyone here, take action to make sure that we really are accountable for the racism that's in our lives, in our hearts, in our world. Here's what we need to do to make sure we change, what's happening on our planet, because the world is on fire. And I wrote, and I wrote, and I wrote, and I wrote, and none of it worked. And so very, very, very late, in a very still part of one morning, I said, God, what do I need to say? And so here's my offering. God asked for a prayer and an offering. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Zion. Dear God, I feel very humbled. Nothing to offer except a meal. It's a meal that's made with the intention of protecting the earth, of nourishing our bodies, of helping make the world a small bit better, and to give us a chance to be in community together. And so with this offering, I ask that you accept it, that it's pleasing to you. I hope it is. I also ask that you be with us during this communal meal, so we might begin to continue the journey of knowing each other and ask ourselves the question and have lots of conversations about what we can do to make this world a better place. And lastly, God, my offering, in addition to this meal and a question, is a commitment that I'll bring everything I am and all that I am and all that I can be to the work that I do, big and small. And I ask for your company along that journey. And I ask also that I feel so small and a person not able to make the changes I need, that others in this community will join with us as we begin to make the world a better place. Shabbat Shalom.
Please rise for Musaf, page 239.
Yikada Shemei Rabba Velma Divarach Yirte Ve'amich Mahote V'chayet Lanu Yamechon Chayet V'beit Yisrael L'Alav Yisman Kariv Yimru Amen Yehi Shemei Rabba Nevarach L'Olam Omel Maya Yitbarach Yishtabach Yitar V'manit Naseh V'tadar v'talav v'tzlal shmei l'kudesha b'rihu le'ela mikol b'chata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechamata damira me'oma v'imru amen Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi agitei latecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanolad, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Mekoneh Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avod, U'mevi Goel Lifnei B'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo v'Yahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham U'Vokei Tzara, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh Beiti Matara Le'Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechalchel Chaim V'Chesed, Mechayeh Meitim V'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofech Olim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mekayem Emunato L'Shenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, U'Migo Melech, Melech David U'Mechayeh, U'Mashiach Yeshua, V'Ne'eman Atal HaChayot Meitim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaMeitim, Na'aritzecha v'naqdishecha, Kesod Tziyach Sarvei Kodesh, Hamaqdishim Shimcha b'Kodesh, Takahatu v'yad yamiyecha, Lekarazel Zeveyamar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Melech ha'aretz kevodo, kevodo malei olam, Misharkav shoalim zalazeh, Hayeh mekom kevodo, Umatam baruch yomeru, Baruch kevad Adonai mimkomo, Hu yifem berachamim, ve'yamonam, al yachadim shemo, erev haboker, bechol yom tamid, ha'amayim be'ahava, Shema omerim, Shema Yisrael, Adonai
Continue on our own, pages 247 through 258. When you're done with your private Amidah or whatever your private prayers may be, you can be seated.
Say shalom bimroma, huya aseh shalom aleinu. Oh, say shalom bimroma, huya aseh shalom aleinu. Oh, say shalom bimroma, huya aseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam.
Kiddush Lunch, page 259.
יקרה ויקרה שמי רבה, ואומה תברך ותבן ותמחותה, זכרתנו ימחון ובחי לכל בית ישראל, והגלה בזמן קריב ימהרו, אמן, יניש רבה וקורה, לעולמו ואומיה, יתברך וישבח ובת חרמה מנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה, לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, דמירה מעלמה וימהרו, תקבל זאתנו ואדון לכל ישראל, קדמו ומוני ושמיה וימהרו, יהי שלום הרב משמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימהרו, עושה שלום במרמה, והוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימהרו.
Ein Eloheinu, Ein Adonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Adonenu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Kemoshienu, Yodel Eloheinu, Yodel Adonenu, Yodel Emalkeinu, Yodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Shetiru, Avoteinu, Levanecha Eketoret Rasani. Please rise to the Aleinu.
Aleinu Neshaveh Adon HaKol, Latehu HaYotzer Reshit, Shelo Asanu B'nei HaHatzot, Velo Samanu K'mishpachot Adama, Shelo Samhalkeinu Kahem, V'Kol Aleinu K'Kol Hamona, Anahu Korim, U'Mishakalim U'Modim, Liftei Melech, Malkei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, She'eloheinu Shamayim Yotzeroret, U'Masher Yekaro B'Shamayim Yima'al, U'Shninatu Zo, V'Kavnei Meromim, U'Eloheinu Eino, Emelkeinu Efezulato, Hakatu B'Torato, V'Natayom V'Hashemoto, Elef Alecha, Ki Adonai Hu Elohim, B'Shamayim Yima'al, Ve'al Haaretz Mitachat Eino. Kakatu b'Toratecha Adonai yimlach olam va'ed, V'ne'emar V'haya Adonai, V'melech al kol ha'aretz, V'yom ha'hu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo
May be seated as we lovingly recall the memory of our departed relatives and friends whose yahrzeits we observe during the coming week. It's a very long list today. We're thinking especially today of Olga Banks, Isaac Peterman, Sheba Woodland Bookin, Becky Chun, Ruth Miriam Cowan, Nathan Feldman, Molly Forkos, Moses Frankel, Ernest Harvey Friedman, Zissel Friedman, Avram Mendel Goldberg, Eleanor Goldberg, Sarah Goldberg, William Grosskopf, Shirley Handloff, Leon Jaffe, James Jonas, Phyllis Kaiser, Daniel King, Morris Klang, Sue Kraft, Ira Kurtz, Shirley Langfeld, Isidore Margolin, William Miller, Judy Maslia, Susan Moore, Samson Nora Mead, Nathan Pulse, Ida Perot, Richard Reinman, Lawrence Rothstein, Jacob Rubin, Rachel Rutter, Jacob Sadian, Dorothy Sarver, Edith Schultz, Eli Schwartz, Lily Schuhalter, Lloyd Silver, Howard Morse Spector, Harry Tessel, Sidney Jerome Ziwato. We are in the Shloshim for Francisco Martinez Sr., John Daniel Rigo, Theodore Finkelstein, and Bernard Polston. And I was just informed this morning that a past member and a very prominent member of Hadassah for many years, Doris Weiner Gluckman, passed away last night, and there'll be information about a funeral later this week. May all their memories be a blessing. We ask all those who are mourning or observing Yortzeit, as well as anyone else who would choose to do so, to rise for the mourner's Kaddish at this time, page 267. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'alman yivrach yerutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'echol beit Yisrael, v'agalah v'zman karev v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabbah v'orach, le'olam l'omei omaya, Yitbarach, Yishtabach, Yitbar, Yitromam, Yitnaseh, Yitadar, Yitaleh, Yitalal, Shmei Kucha, Barichu, Le'ela, Yitkol Berchata, Shirata, Tushbechata, Venechemata, Damiran, Ve'alma, Yibru, Amen. Yehei Shlama, Rabba, Min Shemaya, V'chaim, Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'Hibru, Oseh Shalom, Vimrama, Uya Aseh Shalom, Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Hebrew, Amen. Zichronam Livracha. May the memory of the people you come to say Kaddish for be a blessing to you always. And let us say Amen. And we're going to call upon David Goodwin, President of the congregation, for some announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, and thanks to the women of TBA for organizing the service. I read this somewhere, but it sounds really good, along with the various women's anniversaries, that this year is the 50th anniversary of the first Orthodox bat mitzvah in New York. And the bat mitzvah girl was now Justice Elena Kagan on the Supreme Court. So I hope that's true. And many thanks to Chazanit Yael for leading the service and for reading the Haftarah, to our Torah readers, Lynn Langfeld, Kelsey Petula, Uti Gould, Susan Simon, Bella Gordon, Valerie Miller, and Audrey Kaufman, and Rebecca Callahan-Klein for a lovely drash. Many announcements of what are coming up. Mahjong after the services. Gan Havdalah in pajamas at 5 o'clock. Tomorrow is the Shloach Manot delivery, so look for that. Late morning, probably. Purim Carnival at 3 o'clock. And let's see, Rock and Roll Purim services Wednesday at 6:15. Gan Avraham Purim Parade and Play at 4 o'clock on Thursday. And a week from today, Dr. Rodney Smith of the First African Methodist Church will be delivering the Drosh and services, and I hope you will all attend. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, David. And I just want to re-emphasize a couple of those myself. Rock and Roll Purim Wednesday night, 6:15. Last time we were able to gather in a large group was Purim 2 years ago on the eve of the pandemic. And so come, enjoy yourselves. And next Saturday, it is really, really important to have well-attended services next week for Pastor Rodney Smith. Thank you. Amen. First AME is a historic black church in this community. They were the first public school for black children who were not allowed to go to public schools in Oakland. We've had a long-standing relationship with them. I know there are lots of ways to support the black community, but it's not only about attending protests or putting stuff on your Facebook wall or whatever it is, to like really be there for our local community, is to show up. And I doubt he's going to talk about anything political. He's probably going to talk about Psalms and the Torah. But to be there to support our sister church is really, really important. So I can't emphasize this enough. Please come next week. And he's a really, really nice guy. All right. After Adon Olam, stay here. The board members of the Women of TBA are going to come up there, and they're going to lead us in Kiddush and Motzi. So we'll see what tune Hasniel has for us today. Page 269.
Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li'ed nasa b'vasoko azay melech shemo nikra li'acharei chilov hakol levado yimlok nora v'hu haya v'hu hove v'hu yeh v'tifara v'hu echad v'yen sheni lehamshilo lehachbira v'li reshi v'li tachli v'lo ha'oz v'hamnisra v'hu eli v'taydo ali zorchem li ve'etzara v'hu nisi u'mamnos li v'akasi v'yom mekra v'yado avkid ruchi v'yad kishan ve'ayira v'ruchi g'viyati Adonai li v'lo ira
Shabbat Shalom, Yasher Koach. It took me the entire tune to realize what you were doing. Rush. Please rise to the Kiddush. One other announcement which we forgot, which is a week from tomorrow, Sunday at 10 a.m., we will be having a security drill and information session with the Federation security consultant, Rafi. So please come to that. It's what helps the people in Colleyville, Texas. So we will be trained next Sunday, 10 a.m.
Shabbat Lasot. And we're going to take the challah cover off for Chamotzi. Also, in the very back, we have a new family just moved to the Oakland, our area. So Mike and Marie, say hi to them, and hopefully they'll stay for Kiddush Lunch, and you can chat with them. All right, Chamotzi. Kavod! Also, welcome to our students from San Ignatius who are here for their religion class.
What is it? We offered a dinner at an auction.
We do?
And I just said no. Well, you know, things like things haven't really opened up. I actually was going to come today, but then Jessica started.
Maybe,
So
yeah, because it's been so long.
I can't remember.
Hi, Sarah. Shabbat Shalom. Great to have you here.
Someone has to have it written down. I just know.
It's still on.
I'm afraid to do it. I'm just going to offer if you want me to. But it depends on the day.